can you just set up the EKS cluster with the pod deployments through the Jenkins CI/CD pipeline or GitHub Actions pipeline or whatever. They have any pay other tools as well. Okay, so from where you can start, right? That definitely that will be your first question in your mind. How I can start, right? So because we don't have any knowledge or practical experience, or any we haven't any done any project on that. So how we can start it, right? So same thing like we discussed earlier. So first you need to understand the requirements. Without proper requirements, you cannot do capacity planning. Capacity planning is very major role in the architect. If you don't know the requirement and the business nature or the application nature, how you can evaluate, right? How you can do the POC and which service component you can suggest to the client. So first understand the requirement. Okay, if it's a normal platform, internal application, or e-commerce kind of, or any other API which you required, okay, or it might be hotel related service, air related service, okay, any booking kind of service like travel booking or something, right? Uh, or college, university related, or any applications. Let's say you want to host it. So understand first, and what is the business criticality? How we can do this? Once you entire and the database module as well. Once you understand that requirement, then you can choose right EC2 instance for the cluster. Okay. So since here we are not doing any managed node, I mean own managed node. Okay. When you do any on premises, we need to install multiple packages, networking components, and other stuff. Entire thing you need to manage and deploy. Okay. If it's a on premises, but let's say we are doing this on a Kubernetes cloud, AWS cloud. So in that case, we don't have to worry about the master server. Once we, because it's managed by the AWS, we just need to spin up the master server, and then master server we can add number of nodes. Okay, it's kind of a master slave architecture, or you can say a word, your cluster is a master server and a worker node or slave server or what data node, right? So I will show you that how it's structurized. Okay, so first we need to understand the instance type for the EKS node. Okay, so based on the utilization and the performance and the required traffic expected, you can select the instance type, either CPU intensive, memory intensive, something. Okay, for this practice definitely we will go with the minimum one. We will not take a spin up higher configuration as we don't require. Okay, so then based on that, now you can decide or discuss how much cluster node you required. So first thing will be your master node. Okay, then you will have a number of cluster node, which is you can say worker node or data node. Okay, 1 2 3 4 whatever, and you can scale, you can configure auto scaling as well for this. Let's say for the minimum one you can keep, let's say it's for a dev environment or any kind of non-production environment, you can keep one. Okay, for example. Okay, if you have a multiple services you need to deploy and you need more capacity, so obviously you can go with the higher configuration of the CPU and memory, because ultimately in the pod we need to configure that configuration, how much CPU memory you need. Okay, going forward I will share with you the real-time configuration as well, so don't worry. So you can understand how the s- application we can configure in the pod. Okay, if you configure the auto scaling with minimum 1 and maximum 2 5 whatever you set, okay, based on the pattern, so it will automatically scale. Okay, scale up and scale down. For that we need to install the autoscaler feature. Either you can use Carpenter, either you can use autoscaler. Okay, there are a number of things available for the node level scaling. Okay, not a pod level. Pod level we have a different strategy, which is a HPA, horizontal pod scaler. Okay, I will show you both configuration, and we can spin up and we can see going forward. Maybe not today. Today we will just cover the how we can, the basic understanding of the Kubernetes cluster, then what how we can go with this before setup. and how we can set up actually. Okay, then tomorrow maybe we can do the pod deployment and the with the Jenkins integration. Okay, what things we required and rollback control as well. Okay, so let's see, and how much storage you required. So whichever I have configured in the current project right now. So I came to know minimum you required 20 GB disk space of this your worker node. Okay, in this 20 GB disk space you can store your container logs, your deployments, right, code वगैरह. So that for that we require that. If you want to attach any network file system EFS वगैरह, you can attach that as well with the pod. Okay, we can use multiple storage option. So this is our master server, which is managed by the AWS. We don't have to worry about it. Okay, then we will have worker node. Worker node can be multiple. It's depend on your workload and the application nature. So master node, in this master node, like your brain. He can maintain your all the records, all the configuration, like in the Terraform we maintain the state file, right? So etcd maintain your all configurations. Controller component, these are the components of the master server. Controller, okay, then your scheduler. Every component has its own feature, own function. Okay, API. API is your main gate. If you are living in the society, this will be your first point of contact. Okay, we will connect first API and then it will route to internal features. etcd will maintain your all the configuration. When we do any cluster upgradation, any kind of migration or anything, we need to keep the backup of this file. It's very important. Okay, so we can recover faster if something goes wrong. Then controller, it will maintain your entire pod node status. Let's say you have set up minimum 2 pods should be run or node. It will check all the controllings. So definitely we will maintain by the replica set. I will come to that part. Okay, so there are couple of components and the features in this session. Scheduler will check your if any pod request comes where he need to schedule. Okay, if one server you have worker node, right, you have already running multiple pods and there is no capacity for new pods deployment, and we have configured node level auto scaling, pod level auto scaling. Node level auto scaling, which feature we are using? Either you can use Carpenter, okay, or you can use autoscaler. So in my current project, I have used this one, autoscaler. So this will check your new pod request. If you find a new pod need to spin up, okay, then what will happen? It will check the underlying server capacity, memory, CPU, है कि नहीं available. If the capacity is not available, what he will do is he will immediately spin up new node. Okay, but remember when he will spin up new node, when we do auto scaling configuration, okay, so we need to maintain the auto scaling group with minimum and maximum number. Minimum 1, for example, maximum 2. If you don't define this value, definitely it will not spin up new node. Okay, because he doesn't have any order, right? He need to spin and make it 2. He will simply, you can simply, if you use the command kubectl describe command for the pods, you will see in the event insufficient memory or available capacity available. That message you will see if you describe that pod definition. Okay, so whenever we use these features for the node level scaling, we need to maintain this desired state, what we need minimum, what we need maximum. Okay, so based on that it will trigger, and it will hardly take 1 minute or something to immediately spin up the new node and just join to the master server. Okay, he need to join the master server, otherwise your pod will not deploy. So once the new node added, Then immediately for the pod level scaling, we have a HPA, which is horizontal pod autoscaler. What we will in HPA configuration, I will show you that file as well, so don't worry. So HPA configuration, we need to maintain the minimum pod and maximum pod. Then one more matrix we need to define: CPU or memory utilization. How much percent you need, 50% or 70%. Once your pod utilization cross this limit, okay, it will spin new pods. When it will spin new pods, it will check underlying worker node capacity available or not. If capacity available, it will deploy. If capacity is not available, then what will happen? It will trigger autoscaler to spin up a new node for me. Okay, that will handle this scheduler. Okay, so I will just run this flow once again. You are running pod with two, for example, now. Okay, in deployment replica set, you are configured two pod, minimum two pod should be run, and maximum in HPA configuration file horizontal pod autoscaler, you maintain minimum two and maximum seven, for example, based on the CPU utilization 70% or something. If 70% cross, HPA will trigger to deploy the new pod as we have a maximum seven. Okay, and if underlying EKS cluster node capacity is available, he will deploy new pod. If not available, then it will check with the scaler autoscaler to spin up the new node for me. Once new node spin up, it will deploy the pods. Okay, it will not take too much time, just hardly 1 minute or something. It will that action will taken. Okay, and in the worker node, right? In the worker node, we have a kubelet. This is the responsible to run your pods. Okay, let's say you have a multiple Kubernetes cluster worker node. Every worker node has this package or the agent. Okay, then your proxy, proxy to manage the networks and other stuffs, and container D for the Docker runtime. Okay, which for the Docker running state. If you remember last time I shared one image, let me copy this. So Kubernetes is very vast actually. I will give you some reference link. You can definitely go. So this is some kind of architecture diagram. Your control plane means your what? Your master server. Okay, which you handle your entire structure. API server where we are connecting to the servers and do the activity. Scheduler server to manage your container where it need to be scheduled, controlling the status and etc for your entire cluster configuration. And on the worker node means your as simple as it's a EC2 server, but that is managed by the your Kubernetes cluster master server. Okay, एंड एक्चुअली जो हमारे पॉड्स रनिंग होते हैं ना इसी पे होते हैं वर्कर नोड पे. ठीक है, these are your brain only. So यहाँ पे you can see container we can run, and we required kube proxy for the networking connectivity, and kubelet which is responsible for the pod running, container running. Okay, same thing for other node as well. So now doesn't matter if you have a one node, two node or 10 nodes. So it will work like that. So now what things we required to create the cluster, right? So there are other concept as well. Pod, your deployment replica set, daemon set, your stateless service, headless service. I will come to that one by one. Okay, and then how you can manage the clusters, right? Those are the major part. So now First, you need to design your VPC, as we know, right? Whenever you do any kind of work in the AWS or any network, first you have to design your network, right? So same thing, just create the VPC, like two public subnet, uh, two private subnet, for example. Apart from this, you also need NAT gateway, because worker node will try to connect your control plane, which is in the available in the public facing. So that's why we require this NAT gateway. But worker node, when we do or create worker node, which is ultimately EC2 instance, right, behind this node master server, we can spin up in the private subnet, not in the public, and then they will route via NAT gateway to the your master server. Okay, I will show you that how we can create. So VPC setup, you know, right? If not, we can quickly spin up the new VPC, no issues. So I have list down these topics I already shared, right? So these are the complete things you need to understand. Apart from this, there are many things which you need to read, okay? Because it's very vast concept. Kubernetes is not like a single one. So एक दिन में हो जाएगा ऐसा नहीं है. You have to give more times. Okay. So going forward, जो भी the current situation in the market, we need to focus first basic concept, networking, virtualization, storage part. Okay. Then you can definitely side by side read about the Kubernetes things. Okay, then you will definitely understand, and also you require Linux expertise as well, at least basic, how the CLI works, how the environment variables and other runtimes. So to set up this, or maybe before this cluster setup, you can visit these websites kubernetes.io, and you can jump to this official documentation part. And when you, let's say in future, if you are planning to give the certification of this, okay, this will definitely give you more weightage. And trust me, Kubernetes exams are very tough. It's not a straightforward like AWS. You have only access of this website, kubernetes.io. You cannot do any other Google things. You will have only this website access. यहीं से आपको पूरा जो भी कमांड्स है वगैरह वो पूरा चेक करना पड़ेगा during the examination. Okay, you cannot access any other resources, but this website you will have access during the exam, and completely practical. You have to write down the YAML files, applyment and other things. You have to create that. Okay. So whenever you were planning in the future, so you need to do more practice hands-on. Definitely concept wise, but practical as well. So earlier it was very cheaper, but now I think last couple of months they have increased this cost. It's a $445. If I convert this USD to INR, it's across 39,000. But whenever you do planning, okay, so I think there is one Black Friday sale something in mid October or November something. So after Diwali, you can just try to search continuously, just subscribe here or the enable the notification so you can get the alert on time. So there is every year it's offer, almost 50% offer. Okay, Black Friday sale. You can just search for that, and it's happened I think during Diwali or after Diwali something. Black Day for Kubernetes. When it comes November. Okay. So every year this offer will come. Every year they launch this offer. So if you are planning in future, so you can utilize this time. Or let's say your company providing any reimbursement or something. So in that case, you can use that as well. Okay. But be ready and do more practicals and the theoretical. Okay. So because it's a completely different picture, not a simple straightforward, and you can refer this documentation as well. So there are lots of documentation in the conceptual. ठीक है. And also follow the Kubernetes change log, this one. Recently, on 9th, before 11 days, we have this new release version 1.34. Okay, and you can also check the features as well. In this feature, what new things comes, you can see every documentation. This, okay, change log. Right now, I am also using in the current project. It's a 1.33, 1.348 not available in the AWS. Okay, once they have tested properly, then it will come up. Okay, so first thing, I will share this link as well. I have just created the document for you. Okay, so we can do first thing, we can quickly spin up demo VPC. DevOps K8s. Okay, anyone knows why it's called, or short, use the short K8s? नहीं पता, सर्च करके बता सकते हो. Kubernetes जो बीच में का वर्ड है ना, which is, you can just calculate how much it is. 192.168.0.0/16. We can go with this VPC structure, and we can, okay, we need this VPC and more here. DevOps. Okay. So here we required two availability zones, two public subnet, two private subnet, NAT gateway. Yes, we required. Endpoint we don't required. Okay. Because for the VPC Kubernetes we require NAT gateway, so that is the reason, and it will automatically spin up entire thing. Okay, we don't have to worry about that. Let's wait for NAT gateway because it takes some time to activate. If I open the new tab, we can check the status. DevOps Kubernetes VPC. Okay, and if you check the NAT gateway, it's create. It hardly take 2 minutes or 3 minutes something. We need to wait for that, and it will automatically get one public IP as well. Okay, so once it's activated, it will create, because without that we cannot create the cluster. How much words in this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, that's the reason it's add as a 8 Kubernetes. So earlier it's developed by the Google, but now it's maintained by the CNCF, Cloud Native. ठीक है, CNCF. एग्जाम भी वहीं से शेड्यूल होते हैं, लिनक्स फाउंडेशन, क्लाउड नेटिव कंप्यूटिंग फाउंडेशन. So every year in India or across the global, we have a KubeCon. Last time, or maybe not last time, just before 1 month ago or something, we have this KubeCon, right, in Hyderabad. So if you are interested in that, you can definitely visit. You will get more YouTubers or friend circles or even businessmen as well in that session. Okay, you will get more networking actually. I asked company, but they are not able to ready because uh, charges, right? Accommodation and traveling and all things. If you are willing to refer from your side, you can go definitely. It's good session. KubeCon. August में 6 to 7 August. In last month it happened. Okay, what is the status? Yeah, it's available. So now we can see, yeah, it's available now. VPC. What I can do is I can just check the configuration once again. So बाद में कोई issue ना आए. Let me refresh. So for the public subnet, we have two private and two public subnet. Okay. So let me just quickly check the public subnet settings only. Yeah, I need this. Do you know this option? Anyone observe? Share subnet. You can use single subnet to for the multiple account as well. You can just search about it. So my in earlier project we use this feature. So there are multiple accounts, but client create one centralized VPC and the subnet, and they shared with every required account. So this is how they manage. So networking is very vast actually. जितना पढ़ोगे उतना कमी है. बहुत कुछ फीचर्स एंड सर्विस अवेलेबल है. ठीक है. So now NAT gateway also ready. We can now go with the Kubernetes setup. Either you can go from here and create the Kubernetes cluster server manually. Okay. You can see the latest version of this 1.33. Okay. And this will end of support is July 29, 2027. Right. Standard support will 2026 next year, and extended is 1 year 77. So once 1.34 stable available, it will definitely pop up here. So now I will definitely not going to create the manually. Okay. I will show you one the script CloudFormation stack, which you can also understand how infrastructure as a code will happen. Okay. Because in the industry, you don't need to or not allowed to create the clusters manually. Either you use Terraform script template or CloudFormation, or maybe if you are using any CDK or any other things, definitely as part of the infrastructure as a code, but not manually. Okay, so I have template ready. I will definitely share this entire document with you, so don't worry. So cluster setup. Uh, this if you want to create VPC with the CloudFormation stack, that also you can use this template. Okay, I have created this last time. Internet gateway, subnet, allocation, and the naming convention of this subnets, public subnet 1, 2, right? Entire configuration available in this YAML file for the CloudFormation. Route table association. I think NAT gateway I have not included in this script, but you can, if you want, you can add it in this, or you can create separate as well. Okay. Since we have created the VPC manually, so I will not go with that. I can show you directly the cluster. First, we need to create cluster server. Then we need to create worker node once cluster server is master server is ready. Okay, so I have this EKS cluster stack to create the I'm audible. Hello.
Yes,
Okay, actually power चला गया था. I just connected my mobile hotspot. Let's see. Okay, so just let me know in between if I disconnected because I just connected with the mobile hotspot. And yeah, I will show you. Screen also visible, right?
yes, the screen is also.
Okay. So let me open that EKS cluster stack. So this is the format of this CloudFormation template. You can give the cluster name here, EKS DevOps cluster, right? Then it will take as a parameter. We need to select manually parameter for the VPC. If you want to fix it, like refer this public subnet, private subnet, and the VPC ID, you can do that level also. No issues. Okay. But I choose to select this parameters only. I will show you how we can select that. Then AWS required this default cluster policy, which we need to give. Okay. Then the security group for this 80 port and 443. Version name you have to mention here. I just mentioned 1.32 last time, but now since 1.33 available, so I can just change it 1.33. Okay. In future, whenever you create with 1.34, which was the version, the latest one, you can just update it here. Okay. If you are using CloudFormation, if you are using Terraform, in that case, you need to update the Terraform file. And this cluster will refer public subnet and private subnet. Okay. And this is just for the output block, nothing else. Since this is just for the cluster, okay. So let me select this file, just copy the path because we need to select this file EKS cluster stack. Okay. And here, not here in the cloud formation, you can just search cloud formation. Okay. Cloud formation. Because what will happen sometimes the client will not allow to use Terraform or something third party integration. They want to use within a AWS service itself. So in that case, you can use either AWS CDK or CloudFormation. So what I can do is, this is the CloudFormation stack UI. We can go to this create stack with new resources. Okay. Select this upload a template file. I just shown, right? And just select option upload file and just paste that path. So now we have here EKS cluster stack file. Open it. In the backend, it will automatically store in the S3 bucket. Okay, we don't have to worry about it. And just next, here we need to give the name like DevOps EKS cluster. This is the stack name, okay, not cluster name. CloudFormation stack name. Then in the parameter, this is the actual Kubernetes cluster stack name. As of now, there is a no cluster. Okay, it's a 0 1 here. Here that parameter we have mentioned, right? We need to provide as an input. So we have given the demo name like what it is, DevOps Kubernetes, what it is, private subnet 1. So select private subnet 1 here, private subnet 2, same thing for this public subnet 1 and public subnet 2. Okay. Now VPC ID. Which VPC ID we have? This one. DevOps Kubernetes VPC. Okay. And just next. You can just confirm this acknowledgement and just next. Review and create and submit. It will take a couple of minutes, not too much. If any issues related to configuration or something, you will see the failure message here. Okay, in the stack creation fail. So let me refresh it. It's create complete. That means everything is good. See, rollback in progress. That means something is wrong. Let me refresh it. Now, how we can identify in the cloud formation? See, EKS DevOps cluster already exists in the stack. Okay, because last time I created now, so let me delete that EKS cluster add-on. Let me search it here. Let me delete it. Okay, this is the same. I can delete from here. And also I will delete. In your case, you will not get this kind of issue, okay? Because I already done lots of practice now. So same is finding the same name. That why it's getting the conflict. So I can simply delete it. Provide these conflicts. Delete. EKS CTL cluster. Delete. Or simply you can just change the cluster name. That's it. Okay, it's deleted now. So I can create the with the same name. Okay. Upload a file, choose template, select that cluster stack file. Okay. And just simply same process. Next, give the cluster name EKS DevOps cluster stack or DevOps EKS cluster stack. Okay. Then private subnet 1, private subnet 2, now public 1, public 2. Okay. public one. यहाँ पे प्राइवेट चाहिए, राइट? प्राइवेट टू, पब्लिक वन पे पब्लिक सबनेट वन, पब्लिक सबनेट टू। ठीक है, VPC ID, select that, next, just acknowledge and next, create. Okay, let's see. So here we can check the status. 𝐸𝐾𝐶 DevOps cluster, 𝐸𝐾𝐶 cluster name and the version and status is creating. Okay, and you can see the creation date here. Okay, I think this time that issue will not come because we have deleted the same name stack. How it is? Hello. So yeah, power is back. So I just switched the network. So I was asking like how it is. Do you feel it's very tough or it's very easy to manage, create and manage? I'm not getting anyone's voice.
Yeah, after practice only we'll feel it easy.
Yeah, yeah. That's why initially I told it's all about the practical game.
Yeah.
If you're just watching, that will definitely not help because by watching you can see it's very easy. But when you are doing, when you are facing any challenges, troubleshooting, trust me, in that case initially you will get nervous. कहीं से help नहीं मिल रहा है जो भी है, कोई response नहीं कर रहा है group पे. But when you do more read and practice and troubleshooting, you will learn those confidence. And in somehow if you get any real time project in the industry, that's no मक्खन जैसा. It will be a very good opportunity because हर जगह पे आपको Kubernetes मिलेगा ही. If you see the any JD or Nokia.com hiring portal, 3-4 minutes it will take. Okay, then we can start with the node group. So meantime, what I can do is I can show you the node group. ठीक है, क्योंकि once we do with the cluster, we need to create the node. Okay, where actual our pod will deploy. So the pod configuration node configuration file is here, stack file. EKS node group stack. Okay, make sure your cluster name should be match. Okay, because once we create this cluster, it need to be joined. Okay, this is just for the master server. And what about the node server, right? Where actually our pod will deploy. So if you see the compute option, it will pop up here, come up here, your actual server where pod will deploy. Okay. So that is the reason he need to join uh, that particular master server. So we need to give the proper naming here. Okay. Same as master server. Then configuration wise, for now I can go with the minimum configuration wise, which is the T3 medium. Okay. If in industry wherever you work, so you can just check the requirements if it's required a optimize, memory optimize or something. So based on that you can change the instance type. Okay. Now one more thing, minimum and maximum capacity, which we discussed, right, for the auto scaling. So we can mention here minimum 1, maximum 2 if you need. Okay. Otherwise you can keep just entire thing 1 1 1 here, here 1 and here 1 as well. Okay. Then environment, it's a dev, test or production, you can just mention here. And worker group node required default some policies from the AWS side. Your worker node policy, CNI means your network policy, and container registry, because it will fetch your repository from the ECR, right? For the pod deployments. If you're using any Nexus, JFrog, any or any other things, you can just integrate in that particular deployment file in the CI/CD tools like Jenkins, GitHub Action or something. And this auto scaling also required for the scaling thing. Disk space capacity, you can mention minimum 20 GB, which is required. Okay. And then AMI type, which is required for this. AMI type means you're like when we do the normal EC2 launch, right? We select the OS, Windows or Ubuntu or Amazon Linux. Same thing. In a case cluster, naming is different. Okay. SSH key. This SSH key means whenever, if in future, if you required to access your worker node, so you can use this access key, SSH key to connect your worker node. Okay. Make sure you should have this key. Let me check if I have or not. I think last time I have created. Go to key pairs and just check that keys. Yeah, I have that key available. So in your case, if you don't have that key, you can just create. Okay. Or whichever the key available with you, you can just mention that name there, right? So now, yeah. So remember your instance type, cluster name. Okay. Instance type, then how much worker node. Okay. These are not pods, don't confuse. These are the underlying node, which is your EC2 instance, which will join your EKS cluster master server. Okay. Minimum 1, maximum 2, we can just set up it. And disk space size. Okay, that's it. And the SSH key. Once we're done with this, we can just save it and let me launch it. Okay. Same process as we do the cluster for cloud formation. You can see the status is completed. Okay. Do same process. Before that, let me check the status as your cluster. Refresh. See, status is active. After that, you can start with node group creation. Okay. Upload sample file, upload template file, select EKS cluster node group stack. Okay. And from here, give the name. So in this case, DevOps EKS node group stack. Okay. Cluster name, environment, capacity. It will automatically fetch from the file. Node group name. Let me give this DevOps EKS node group. Instance type, private subnet. Select again. Private subnet 1, private subnet 2, private subnet to public subnet. ठीक है, next acknowledge this message and next review and create and just submit. So this process will take definitely some time. Let me just check. If you miss to create NAT gateway, your this worker node will not create, or it will create, but it will not join your master server. Okay, which will require internet connectivity. So I had done this troubleshooting last time. I also explored the documentation which is required. So in that case, so if you forget that, just make sure you created it, NAT gateway in the VPC. Okay. So if you open that cluster and go to the compute tab and just you can see here, if I refresh to see node group name which we have given, desire count 1 and status is creating. Okay. This is the AMI release of this version, and let's see the status. It's required a couple of minutes. If you get any error message, so what kind of error message you will get while creating the node group? Anyone any confusion with the master server and node group? Just be frankly and just you can ask so I can summarize. मास्टर पे क्या होता है, वर्कर नोड पे क्या होता है, यू क्लियर इट? क्लियर है कि नहीं वो समझ में नहीं आ रहा मुझे, आवाज नहीं आ रही किसी की. डोंट वरी, नहीं तो कल आपसे
Yes,
ये सब कुछ आपसे ही करवाऊंगा
clear.
सब कुछ.
Yeah, I just like reacted with a reaction.
अच्छा, वो उधर मैं नहीं देखता चार्ट में. ठीक है. Yeah, it's got created. Let's me refresh it. See, this is the node group name. Okay, desire count 1, status is active. This is the node. नोड मतलब आपका जो आईपी इंस्टेंस क्रिएट हुआ है उसका ये आईपी है प्राइवेट. इंस्टेंस टाइप ओके, क्रिएटेड 1 minute अगो, स्टेटस रेडी. इफ यू हैव एनी इश्यूज, सो यहाँ पे ना रेडी ऑप्शन नहीं आता है. इट विल बी अ फेलियर और नॉट एबल टू ज्वाइन और समथिंग और नॉट रेडी, ऐसा कुछ एरर आता है. सो इनिशियली अगर आता है सो डोंट पैनिक, इट विल जस्ट वेट टू have this complete process. Okay, cloud formation का. So it will take couple of minutes. if you are if you are missing NAT gateway, definitely you will get the error message यहाँ पे. ठीक है. So finally our cluster master server and the worker node is ready. So now what will be the next step, right? Your cluster is ready with the worker group, worker node, right? So now next step is enable the rollback, RBAC, which is rollback access, right? Access control list. So go to access. यहाँ पे ना by default authentication mode is config में होता है. Just change it to EKS API and config map. So it will support your IMA roles as well. Okay. So because from where we are going to access, for the security point of view, from where we are going to access, let's say you are trying to access within AWS from any one of the EC2 instance. So if you not pass that user or role, you will get the API related error message. You will not able to connect your EKS cluster. ठीक है. So I will mention here. ठीक है, फर्स्ट क्रिएट VPC with NAT gateway. Practice, once you're done with the practice, please delete it. Okay, otherwise this is not a free of cost, charges बहुत आता है, so delete it. Okay, after practice completion, then what I just told, enable RBAC, okay, from access tab, right? Sorry, create VPC with NAT gateway, then second create EKS cluster master, ठीक है, which is your control plane. सो इसको ना अलग अलग नाम से वी कैन रेफर, सो डोंट कंफ्यूज, ठीक है. योर मास्टर वर्कर, कंट्रोल प्लेन, डेटा प्लेन, ठीक है, वर्कर नोड, मास्टर नोड, ठीक है. क्रिएट क्लस्टर, क्रिएट EKS node group with minimum 1 and max 2. Max 1 किया तो भी चलेगा, no issues. Okay, just if you want to do practice for the scaling capacity, auto scaling, then you can just change it to 2. Even you later also, once you created the EKS cluster with the worker node, later on also we can change this value, no issues. Okay, so you can just make it minimum and maximum 1. Then enable rollback access from the tab. Now what next? Right, set context either on local machine or from any EC2 instance, ठीक है. So now, if you have already bash and host, for example, in the industry, in the project, so you can configure this context on your that particular bash and server. So from bash and server, you can do the command line like your 𝐾𝐸𝐶TL command जो भी हम refer करते हैं, right, to manage this. So ठीक है, so it will add default whatever the node role is required. Now extra, what we need to do is now how we can connect this cluster, right, from our machine. So for that, we need to install kubectl, AWS CLI on your machine. I have last time I have already deployed. Let me check. But in your case, if you haven't installed on your local machine, you have to do that. WS. Yeah, I have installed already last time. kubectl also you required. Okay, kubectl hyphen version, and something is missing. Kubectl. Okay, so I have both version available, kubectl and AWS CLI. Okay, AWS CLI you required to configure your IAM user. Okay, and kubectl required for the command line utility to manage your Kubernetes cluster. Right. So I have already given the step by step notes in my one of the repo. If I open here, projects. If you haven't installed, you can just follow the steps because going forward you required, because not tomorrow but next Saturday I will ask one of you to create the cluster from your account. Okay, in your account. So यहाँ पे उसको बनाना पड़ेगा, इसलिए छुट्टी मत मार देना. because you will learn. अगर आप खुद करोगे ना, you will learn the confidence. Confidence ऐसे ही नहीं आता है. यहाँ पे नहीं है. एक मिनट. Kubernetes cluster setup. ठीक है. So I will share this link. So here यहाँ पे I have given the entire step by step. What you required, user, access key, secret key, right? Then your AWS CLI. Package version might be older here if I given the direct link, but make sure you install the latest version. Okay, 𝐶TL का भी दिया हुआ है, right? So let me share this. On local machine install below packages. ठीक है, ये लिंक दिया है मैंने. AWS CLI 𝐶TL. ठीक है. There is one more 𝐾𝐶TL. Anyone heard about it? So we can create EKS cluster multiple ways. Either you can use Terraform, CloudFormation, CDK, or EKS CTL as well. EKS CTL is a command line utility where you can create Kubernetes cluster. Okay. So EKS CTL I will not show you. I have shown via the CloudFormation stack just now, but that project is available here. Uh, how we can create the cluster from the EKS CTL. Just single command is there. You go down यहाँ पे देखिए, create 𝐾𝐶TL cluster by create EKS cluster by 𝐾𝐶TL. 𝐾𝐶TL create cluster name version. This is the older version. Okay, you need to mention the latest version, right? 1.33. Region, in which region you are going to create, node group name, and how much you require, node 1, 2 or something, and instance type. It will, with a single command, your cluster will ready your master server and your worker node. Okay. So now let's see. Let me open my command prompt because I want to show you how we can connect it. Let me check. Okay. So what I can do is now, is font visible properly or should I increase it? Let me try to increase. कहाँ पे है वो font 18. क्या हो गया? ठीक है. So just go to your cluster. I will close this all window. Okay. And this is your cluster, right? So यहाँ पे just take your name. First, EKS cluster name, just copy it and EKS cluster update config, cluster name and region. Okay, I'm using Mumbai region, so that's why I use AP South 1. So let me update this context. Okay, this configuration will add automatically in this .cube config. If I try to do 𝐶TL get ns, NS is basically your namespace. We will discuss tomorrow on this detail. See, I am getting the error message. Couldn't get current server API group list. The server has asked to the client to provide credentials. Okay, because the user I'm using right now, maybe that doesn't have a permission. So for that, I need to check the credentials which I am using. Let me check quickly. Or simply what I can do is I will create new. You can create one new IAM user. Okay, I think I'm using AWS CDK, ACR, Grafana, Terraform. Maybe I'm using admin. You can create the access key. Okay. If I want to check which user I'm using, so I can quickly go to here, Explorer, go to C drive, user, my name, dot AWS, credentials. Okay. So just give me 1 minute because this is a recorded session. So I don't want to expose my credentials. I can just stop the sharing just for the 1 minute and I will reshare again. Okay, I just reshared. Is my screen visible now?
Yes, yes, it is.
Okay, so I'm using this IAM user, Terraform admin. So what I can do is I need to give this user permission in the EKS clusters. How we can give this permission? Let's go to our EKS cluster window, right? Go to access, create access entry. How we can create? From here, create, search that username, Terraform, Terraform admin, right? Next, from here now we need to assign that policy. Which one? Just search EKS cluster admin policy. Okay, EKS cluster admin policy, add this policy and next. Create it. So that means access is granted now for the Terraform admin user. I will mention this here. Okay. Okay, I will just change this access key later. No issues. यहाँ पे ना enable RBAC setup context by this command. ठीक है. Setup local IMA user or create IAM user with either, since you are doing for the practice now, so just give the admin privileges. Okay, and create access key and secret. Configure it locally. Anyone any doubts how to configure access key and secret key locally? Did I show last time?
Yes, in the previous session you showed. Okay.
Yes, yes. Just you can use AWS space configure option, you will get that. So in AWS EKS cluster, zit access tab and create new access entry for I am a user. Okay, with this policy. Okay, admin Amazon EKS cluster admin policy. Uh, okay, now if I try to run this command again, let's see. See, so this time I am getting the response. So these are the default namespace: kube node lease, kube public, kube system. Okay, namespace is basically your isolation of your space. Let's say you have a different project or service, dev, test, production, banking, or backend API, front end API, or something. If you want to maintain the pods in the separate namespace, you can maintain that. Okay. So now, if I want to create a namespace, kubectl create namespace. What I need is, for example, DevOps. Okay. So I just created it. If I run again same command, kubectl get ns namespace, you can see I have created this DevOps namespace. So tomorrow I will show you. We will take any one of the engineering space pod example, and we can deploy in this right in this namespace, and we will try to create load balancer. Load balancer required AWS controller installation. I will install in front of you. Okay. Then for the node level auto scaling, you required autoscaler. We will do that configuration as well. Ingress load balancer, right? We can set up, deploy the manifest file, your ingress file, service file, and your pod deployment file. So we will go and explain tomorrow. So don't miss it out. Okay. So because today and tomorrow session you required actually. So understand this. So this is how I set up in my project as well. So you will get lots of benefits. Okay. So till now, are you clear on this? How we can set up, or what is a worker node, data node, master server, right? Then configuration, how we can set up that, and how we can connect it. Any doubts in this? Okay. I will share this file with you. So make sure at least you are done with this setup. Okay. Install AWS CLI, kubectl, and if required, then 𝐘𝐶TL. Otherwise, it's totally optional. Okay. If you want to do practice with 𝐘𝐶TL, you can just follow this link. Okay. And you can do the that way as well. Okay. Also, I will share with you this template file, CloudFormation. So you can do that practice next week. I will give you the assignment. Okay. So for now, what I can do is even you also, when you don't want to work for any short period like 1 day or something, and you don't want to recreate cluster again for the practice, so in that case what you can do is you can make this node group 0. Okay, so this is created, right? So what you can do is this node group, select on it, go to edit. You can see this option, right? Minimum and maximum. You can make it 0. Maximum keep it 2, no worries, but desired count and minimum count you can make it 0, and just save these changes. What will happen? Your worker node will not run unnecessarily. So that charges you can save. Okay, because tomorrow again we need this setup, right, for the pod deployment and other changes. So that is the reason I am not going to delete today. Okay. After tomorrow's session, I will definitely go ahead and delete it. Okay. And you can see here now, immediately it will definitely not show, but if I show you here, I just forgot to show you, but let me kubectl gate node. See, so earlier the status will be ready, but now since we are making it 0, that means shutdown. So you can see the option scheduling disabled. That means after certain couple of minutes, it will turn off or terminate basically. Okay, turn off instead of turn off, shut delete हो जाएगा यहाँ से. ठीक है.